Yo, yo, yo. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments. Now, it's crazy to think that we would be called, or men will be called in certain areas, men will be called ain't shit. But these the real ain't shit dudes that they're talking about because they're crying about something that is so wrong to be doing that. But we just listen to it. You'll understand it. If not, I'll give more commentary, but you'll understand it after you hear it.
This is a grown ass man crying because he can't marry children, by the way. But don't worry, because I have something cooking for his head top. I wrote an article to describe exactly how I feel about these grown ass geriatric men crying about the fact that they can no longer legally marry children. 2 days ago, Somalia's parliament passed a landmark law that finally criminalized.
Like you hear it, right? This is the weird dudes that women be talking about. Not even us. Cause we what? As American? Yeah, no. No. What you talking about now? But at the same time, there are other videos that say we do the most and the other stuff, so I can't really say that, you know? But let's go.
Child marriages and establishes the age of consent at 18. A reform long overdue, and one that brings a glimmer of hope into a nation that is too often normalized the exploitation of its most vulnerable. For those of us in the diaspora, this is not merely another piece of political news from back home. It is a call to consciousness, a demand that we recognize the privileges of our distance, our safety, our children's protection, and our responsibility to speak loudly on behalf of those whose voices are silenced. What makes this law historic is not only its content, but the immediate backlash it generated from a segment of self proclaimed Somali imams who attempted to delegitimize it by branding it as Western. As if safeguarding our children's dignity is foreign to
So it can't be over there, but it could be over. Okay. Okay, I see what's going on here.
Islam, as if preventing old men from preying upon young girls is an alien import, rather than a moral imperative deeply embedded in our values of justice, mercy, and protection of the weak. These so called religious voices appeal to fear, suggesting that Somalia is losing its authenticity or succumbing to external pressures. But what they truly fear is the erosion of the unchecked male dominance that has allowed them to disguise their desires for control as piety. We need to ask ourselves, how is it that when an old man in the West approaches a child, the entire society reacts with disgust, outrage, and swift legal action? But when the same behavior is cloaked in religious language back home, we are expected to stay silent. Are the lives and the futures of Somali children less valuable than the lives of the children here in Canada, in the United States, or in Europe? Should our daughters, nieces, and younger
No, no, it's not. What for me personally, I never knew there was a place that you feel me? But I guess that would have to be the money conversation. But I never knew there was a place that it wasn't 18. You feel me? Like I never. I thought it at least at lowest it'd be 16. At lowest. But no age limit? Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that. And I'm pretty sure there's other places now. That's just another part of the brain I never, well, it's not even accessing a part of the brain. It's just where you live. You would never expect it. You would have to be in those places around the time for it to understand, or like this, find the content to hear it. Understand that the world is still advancing and there's still some places that's just a little bit behind.
cousins in Mogadishu, Hargeisa, Garowe, or Beidawa not be afforded the same protections that shield our children in Toronto, London, Minneapolis, or Stockholm? We in the diaspora often congratulate ourselves on being a good fortune. Our children go to schools where they are taught that their bodies belong to them, where an older man approaching them would be immediately reported, investigated, and punished. Many of us are privileged enough to never consider that our daughters might be forced into marriage before they've even finished their childhood. But let us not delude ourselves into thinking this is purely luck or a reflection of a superior society abroad. It is the result of strong, enforceable laws and cultural consensus that protecting children is a non negotiable. When we see Somali men, some so old that they must dye their gray beards with henna to mask their age, argue with tears in their eyes that child marriage is their religious right, we are witnessing not faith, but the last grasp of patriarchy fighting for its survival.
I don't know if that's patriarchy or none of that. I really don't like that people be putting the labels on it. Just say the people, the bad people or the ain't shit people. Cause I don't know. I never really got the matriarchy and the patriarchy argument. Like I understand it, but I just don't get it because at the end of the day, it's like, yo, we all fall in the middle of both of those things, men and women. Like we all fall in the middle. I would say we all fall in the middle, but I can't speak for everybody because it's like, yeah, at some moments I'm a little misogynistic. You're right, but it's not for being bad or to do it for a bad reason. It's I don't know. I feel like I'm a different human being, but the only way I could say that I traverse these things the right way is for other people to say it. I just see it and understand it. But let's get back to what she was talking about. But I don't think it has none. I think these people are just weird, and the world is advancing, and we're showing the people who shouldn't be advancing with us.
What possible commonality could a man decades into his life have with a girl barely into adolescence, other than his desire for control? He does not see her as a partner, an equal, or a companion. He sees her as someone to mold, to subjugate, or to silence. He sees in her a lack of life experiences, an opportunity to impose his authority unquestioned, and this is a sickness we must name, even if doing so makes people uncomfortable. This is not religion driving this attraction, but pervasion. It is not Islam that commands men to marry children, but lust disguised as tradition. And if we, the diaspora, remain silent, then we are complicit in allowing these predators to wrap their desires in the language of faith. The truth is that Islam has always emphasized protection of the vulnerable. The Quran repeatedly commands believers to uphold justice, to safeguard orphans, to show.
And that just simply shows how, let's say, a good book in the hands of bad people. You see how easy that works? Because I see it all the time, both sides. Like they try to use it for their own benefit, but whole time it's not even supposed to be that way. And to hear the stories that come out of some of them and know that these people believe in those stories is like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mercy to those who are weak. To twist our faith into a license for child exploitation is a betrayal of everything the Prophet ﷺ stood for. We must remind ourselves and remind our communities that there is no binding obligation in Islam that demands child marriage. The age of consent being set at 18 is not imported Western concept. It is a reflection of a broader Islamic principle that marriage is a contract requiring the full, mature consent of both parties. Consent cannot exist when a girl is too young to grasp the implications of marriage, when she cannot legally or emotionally negotiate the terms of her future, when she lacks the capacity to say no without fear. Even Saudi Arabia, the land most often invoked as the benchmark of Islamic governance, has established 18 as the legal age of marriage, recognizing that childhood must be preserved and protected. Do these Somali imams feel like they are more knowledgeable, more pious, or more faithful than the scholars of Saudi Arabia who ruled with careful deliberation and justification? Or is it simply that they fear losing a cultural practice that grants them unchecked power over the lives of
Good book, bad people. Point blank. Good book, bad people. You don't got to sugarcoat it. Well, I think you're reading off of the paper, but y'all understand it. It's like what? These people just want to get away with what? And how many years they gonna live getting away with it? Because at the same time, just to think about it, how many wives they can have, a ultimate amount. So every year they can marry somebody new at the same age, and then say it's okay. Of course, when you have a good thing going, nobody wants to fuck it up, even if the good thing is bad.
children. Let us not mistake their nostalgia for patriarchy as a defense of Islam. We know the harms of child marriage all too well. It forces them into pregnancies, and their bodies are not even prepared to bear this, leading to high rates of maternal mortality and other devastating medical conditions. It traps them in cycles of poverty as they are pulled from schools to serve as wives and mothers long before their minds or skills can develop. Psychologically, the impact is profound. A child thrust into marriage learns that her voice does not matter, that her body is not hers, that her future belongs to the man who chose her. She grows up with anxiety and with trauma, with the scars of being robbed of agency, and these wounds ripple outward. into her children, into her community, and into the nation as a whole. When we speak of Somalia's instability, its cycle of conflict and underdevelopment, how can we connect these patterns to the fact that half of the population has been systematically denied the chance to grow up before being forced into adulthood? What nation can rise when its daughters are shackled in childhood? This is why this law matters, and this is why we cannot afford to be silent. Somali youth in the diaspora must understand our privilege comes with responsibility. We live in countries where laws protect us from the predators our politicians back home still debate. We live in places where if a 50-year-old man approached a 13-year-old girl, the police would intervene, the community would react with horror, and the courts would prosecute him. Why then should Somali children not have the same protection? Why should a child in Toronto be treated as sacred and a child in Mogadishu be treated as disposable? If we truly believe in the dignity of our people, if we truly love Somalia, then we cannot accept this double standard. Our duty is not to send money back home only for weddings, funerals, or construction. Our duty is to send back advocacy, to send back our voices, to pressure our politicians to uphold and enforce this law, to hold accountable those who attempt to roll it back. Because make no mistake, these imams crying on camera are not just expressing an opinion, they are mobilizing. They are appealing to the emotions of the vulnerable, to the fear of the poor, to the insecurities of men who feel their control slipping. If we do not
The crazy part about it, yeah, I've been through sort of. It's crazy to think your life, that your upbringing and all that, and all the things that you see, it makes sense further on you travel, because it's not further on you travel, but you know what I mean. Time is travel, even if you're in the same place, and that's another conversation if y'all want to get into that later. But yeah, seeing this, oh my god. We need to this needs to be a live talk type of conversation, and whoever watches this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what y'all think in the comments, and if I ever do remember it, I'll bring it back up.